Welcome to the Dr. Nikki Starr Show, a podcast to support you in your spiritual awakening and personal development. As a spiritual teacher, healer, and intuitive coach, my intention is to empower you to live your ultimate potential and your ultimate life. As a former medical doctor and mystic, my role is to bridge the gap between science and spirituality to support you in understanding more of your multidimensional aspects. I share on a diverse range of topics, and it's all to support your greatest becoming. My mission is to continue reaching millions of people for the healing and awakening of humankind for the creation of the new earth. Thank you for being here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dr. Nikki Starr Show. Today, I am here with Emily June Wilcox. She is a wealth and business coach, and she's also had multiple seven-figure businesses. And I met Emily back in a few years ago when we were in a mastermind together. And since then, she's written a book, Wounds to Wealth. And I thought it would be so nice to have her on the show. I feel like she's so inspirational. She's also a mom and she's doing all the things. She also has her own podcast. So I welcome you and I celebrate you, Emily. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here and it feels so nice to reconnect with you.
Yeah, it does. It does. And we met in person too. We met in Malibu.
Yeah.
That day. It was a group of us, and I'm now in Ibiza, but with the the sea, but the different sea, and the ocean then, and now with the sea, and I love what you're doing, and I always love what you've stood for, and I love that you've wanted to give back to women, and I assume you work with men too, right? And
I've had some men sprinkle in over the years, and to me, I know you work with men too, and it's like when I market my services to women and the men come in, it's actually they're the best men because they're men that like don't have the ego around the way that they're spoken to. They have like really balanced masculine feminine energy and they're awesome.
yeah, and I love that you've reached such a beautiful place in your life that you decided to go into the coaching space. Like it wasn't something that was like your first business. It was more like, I did this. I've created seven-figure businesses. I've helped other people do that too. And now I want to share my wisdom. It's really wisdom, right? Because you've done it and you've written a book. And I feel like we really stand for a similar ethos, which is, I think the foundation of it is really like money is a spiritual thing because you have to go through this healing process to clear out the wounds, the traumas, the limiting beliefs, stuff you've inherited from your ancestors, your family. And I'm so about that. And I actually was reading on, I think it was on Facebook, someone wrote something like, oh, it's not true. Like spirituality doesn't belong in your business. And I wrote back to that this morning, like, I don't agree with this. I actually feel like we really can expand our business so much through that healing and spiritual work. So I'd love for you to share a bit about your foundational beliefs around that and what you shared in your book and what you generally share with clients.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I love that money is such a good carrot for doing this inner work. For me, it's always been like, if that's what's at the end of this is like wealth and money and expansion, which, brings freedom, then I'll do it. I'll go there. And for me personally, if the carrot was like, oh, you'll get a little bit happier, or you'll have like a little bit more sex or whatever, I think I would have just been like, I'm good. But money for me was just a really natural motivator. And what it really ended up leading me to was inner child healing, examining, limiting beliefs, ancestral stuff, family of origin stuff, really expanding what I believed was possible for myself, really reorienting my belief around abundance and, what an unlimited resource this is. And I'm super grateful for money that's how it all happened. And I don't think it has to happen that way. I think for some people, it's like body image stuff gets them into the inner work, or really wanting to be in a secure romantic relationship. And so it's like, my take is it's like this mansion and it's got all of these different doors. And it doesn't matter what door you go in. Once you're in the house, you're in the house. You have access to every room. And so once we start doing the inner work, of course, it doesn't matter if you went in through the door of money, you're going to confront beliefs about yourself, your body, what you're deserving of with love and everything else, just as if you went through one of those other doors. And so in some respects, it's all about money. And in some respects, it's not about money at all. And it's really just about energy, right? And how we relate to it, and whether we see ourselves as a part of it or separate from it. And so I really like these kind of like philosophical conversations. But in my book, I sort of distill it down. There's still very much spiritual principles in there, but there's also a real framework that allows you to like get your hands in the clay and be practical and understand, how these things play out in your life, and then really understanding the root cause and healing that so that you can receive more money with ease, and that you can step into what I call new paradigm wealth, which by my definition is that you really love the way the money is coming in. So it's not just an ends justify the means and you're working a job you hate, but then you love the money. It's like the money is coming through this self-expression and passion, and through the way that you get to serve the world. And then you also get to do great things with the wealth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm totally on I call it like the conscious wealth paradigm. Like we're here
Yeah.
to be the conscious millionaires and billionaires, here to
Yes.
co-create the new earth. And what that means to me is we are responsible for creating what we wish to see. It's taking the power in
Yes.
our hands. So it's not like, oh, I'm waiting for the government to create a nature-based school. Actually, I'm just going to fund it for my children. Or,
Yes.
oh no, look at this food situation. Actually, I can just fund organic regenerative farming and help regenerate the soil and create a collective
Yeah.
or cooperative of people that know where they're sourcing their food from. So anything that we want to see in the world, that we can just choose to fund it, create it, be a part of
Yes.
seeing it to fruition. And that's actually part of why I moved to Ibiza, to be honest, because I felt like in the US, so much is regulated.
Yeah.
And sometimes finding places a little off grid, you have more freedom to create and do whatever you want. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the same is true money wise. Like even right now, like I was laughing because the stock market and crypto is just going off at the time of
Yeah.
this thing. It's November 13th, 2024, and there's another bull run happening. And my beloved and I were just like looking at all the different like crypto wallets out there, and like the million, and like how Warren Buffett just went like liquid with like billions of dollars. And we're just like, there's so much money out there and it's all like created. Like it's kind
Yeah.
of just made up actually.
Yeah.
Tapping into these numbers, it's just like there's so much money out there. There's so much abundance, and
Yeah.
we can just tap into that. Like we also are reading like someone put $17 into like a coin that was like penny, like not even pennies, and made $1.2 million or something.
Wow. I
Just
love
like
that.
that, for just like expanding your field and knowing you can actually just pull money out of the air in a way. Like it gets to
Yeah.
be easy and it can happen unexpectedly. And
Yes.
so I love anything that expands us around wealth and money and abundance consciousness, really.
Yeah.
Because, also even with me, like you mentioned, you laughed when we got on the call because again, I'm just by a window with the sea, with the water behind me. And I'm like, that's a standard. Like we could just decide certain frequency standards. And I feel the same is true when it comes to money. We
Yeah.
can just decide like this is how much we want to make. And of course, like I've gone through it too, and I'm still going through it. I'm like, I know that I'm one of these conscious billionaires, and I'm like, what's the gap between it being now? And it's all the
Yeah.
healing work that I still have to do and all the energetics. And for me, I've tapped into like also that it's been a lot of ancestral because
Mm,
all of my grandparents and like they all came from not wealthiness, and just like living in tribes and where there was literally just not any of that generational wealth or anything like that.
yeah.
And so it's fascinating how much it's like we take on that's not
Mm-hmm.
have the awareness, okay, I can heal it and clear it, but it's like, okay, this just comes with the package. And that's why I feel like money gets to be a master teacher in this life where you can allow it to serve you or not. And I'm on
Yeah.
the of like, let's allow it to serve us because I
Yeah.
feel like everyone can grow. Even the billionaires have room to grow in ways to see money in a more spiritual way, even.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think one of the interesting things about new paradigm wealth or conscious wealth is that the old paradigm still exists. And one of the scariest things is being willing to have the old paradigm projected on you as you're paving the way for the new paradigm. And so that often will look like, or we're afraid it will look like, being told that we're greedy and that we're taking from people who need it more, or that we did something unscrupulous to get our money, right? Because that's a lot of the old paradigm. And for people that are still plugged into that, they see you getting rich and they assume that it has to be because you did something shady or you took it from someone else and
A guy
and it
gave it to you. That's the
or
whole
a guy
mix.
gave it to you. Yeah, absolutely. And it's like the more energy we put towards wanting to like fight that narrative, the less energy we're just putting towards building new paradigm wealth. And if we can just allow the projections to be there if they're there and just stay steadfast and get to our destination and enjoy the journey, enjoy the process of it, then we will become an example, a living, breathing example of new paradigm wealth. And those that are ready for it and that are on the same path will be inspired by it, and they'll be able to do it even faster than we did. And we don't have to change anyone's minds.
Yeah.
And I think
And
when we let go of that, the whole thing goes so much more quickly.
yeah, and I think this is great because I love that this episode is turning into like an expansion. I feel like it's an expander. It's an expand people in the space of like what's possible or just to expand into that next level. And oftentimes the people who are our people police are the people closest to us, like our family.
Yeah.
I love my parents, of course, and they are my biggest people police of like, shouldn't you just have a regular job of, or Nikki Starr, you're a doctor. Like, why are
Yeah.
you doing these things, And even having moments of like up and down on the way up, in moments of like having a down, it's like, well, are you going to get a regular job now? And it's like, no,
Right.
like
Right.
I adopted the mantra, do less, receive more. I am only interested in sharing my mission with the world. Like I have zero interest in that old paradigm structure of, okay, this is the job you get because it's job security, like being a
Yeah.
doctor, as if being a doctor is job security. Whereas we saw in the pandemic, if you didn't want to do something to your body,
Yeah.
you actually got fired. And so it's like,
Yeah.
that's really job security, actually. So
Yeah.
for me, I feel like the greatest job security we can have is having our own business, starting our own business, because then it's all in our hands. Like we can decide how much we work, how much we create, how much we expand. We can branch off and create multiple businesses within our business. And
Yeah.
for me, that creation freedom is linked to the financial freedom because it's like
Yes.
creating different avenues for that wealth and money to come to us.
Yeah.
And for me, it just seems so right because I've already taken the red pill, like I'm out of the matrix. So for me, it's
Yeah.
obvious. Everyone, why doesn't everyone just create their own business? And I feel like a lot of times in my copy, like I'm promoting that. I'm like, anyone can create their own business. And I actually recommend that you do, because then you have time. Not only do you have money freedom, or you also don't have a cap on how much you can make. So you're able to plug into the potentials and the possibilities.
Yeah.
And then you get that time freedom. Like for me, being home with my children is a number one priority. Like I have, and
Yeah.
similarly, like I don't want my beloved to have to go and work and do a job that's outside of the family space. Like I want us to be co-creating together. And
Yes.
that kind of life design freedom only
Yeah.
comes when you're your own boss.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And, even you mentioning crypto, again, we have this real divide between the old paradigm and the new paradigm. Because if you look, my grandparents grew up in the United States, and um, you could support a family of 5 on a single income, and it could be like a blue collar income. And so like you could have a very comfortable life with dad going to work every day, mom staying and taking care of the home and the children. You could buy your own home. You'd have it paid off after 30 years. You'd have a pension from work, so your retirement was secure. And it's not that that built insane amounts of wealth, but it really worked. That model does not fucking work anymore.
It doesn't even exist,
It
actually.
doesn't even exist. It is like literally not possible to do that. And so then enter things like crypto, enter things like the online coaching world, even things like OnlyFans. Like there's so many things that exist now that didn't exist before. And what do they get called? They get called like a scam. This isn't even real. You're just gambling. You're whatever. And it's just a lack of understanding, because it's such a different way. And it's a way that is much more disconnected from trading time for dollars. But in the new paradigm, like some of these new ways, and of course with crypto and anything, you have to like vet the opportunity and make sure that it's correct for you. But it's like it doesn't play by the rules. It is outside of the matrix. And so if you vibe with that, it's like there are these brand new wild ways to create wealth that didn't exist before.
And the wild manifestation of wealth and the wild ways of creating money require that risk. And it is the same risk that our ancestors had, because to go into the wild, wild west and claim those lands that
Yes.
got inherited generationally, or even sail across the Atlantic from other lands, all the different ways that America was populated, it still took the risk of those ancestors
So
to
true.
search for a new way, a new life, a new opportunity. And I
And
feel
leave behind everything that they knew.
exactly. And so I feel like we're
Yeah.
still met with this same, maybe it's like the archetype of the human as we go into this expansion energy, right? Because there's continued evolution of humanity, and it's like innovation happening in a new way. So similarly,
Yeah.
we're creating our businesses and we're creating new models of how business can be, and all these different avenues and rivers for money to come in. It requires our risk. It does. When I left Western medicine and I left behind that, what seemed like the most secure, safe, like I was guaranteed 6 figures no matter
Yeah.
what. And I just like jumped off a cliff. I didn't even know what I was going to do. And it
Yeah.
all just like organically happened. So it's like I was building the road as I was walking it. And that is that like pioneer path. And it was back in 2012 when not like a lot of people were not doing this. Like I didn't even know it was a thing. So I was one of the ones that was being like awakened to it without having
Yes.
for it. At least now there's like so much proof like this works. Just be
Yeah.
brave enough to like take the leap. And now I'm even seeing a lot of like reels about like the marketing, something online marketing stuff or whatever. So that's like something, if you don't even want to be a coach or anything like that, you can still make money by promoting like other people's things.
Right.
It's just like fascinating. And
awesome. At the same time, like, it's giving people power
Yeah.
to create any life that is desired. And that's
Yeah.
really what I stand for. I feel like we're here to create anything we desire.
Mm. You said the word pioneer, and I just like got chills. It really is true. And, this conversation is connecting so many dots for me and really plugging me into that energy in a way that I wasn't even thinking of previously. And, you talk about both mom and dad being home and present with the kids. And, we've been having these conversations around our house around, my daughter is going to try online school next year. And it's like it's like another step of escaping the matrix because school is a factory for kids.
Mhm.
And it's not really meant to express individuality or allow them to become excellent and free thinkers and entrepreneurs and that kind of thing. Um, but it's like the easier thing because it's the known path. And to deviate from that requires that courage and that willingness to blaze your own trail or, and not like it's even that hard nowadays. Like there are, again, so many resources that you can plug into. So, you know, big gratitude to the people who really did blaze the trail. But still, it's why having a show like your show that people can tune into is so important because we really aren't meant to do this alone. And it can feel scary when you're having thoughts that are so different, that feel really counterculture. And it's like, just find your people because there are people that are free thinking and that do question everything and are looking for, the path of like best and highest good for all in every aspect of life. And it's like those are the people that I want to be talking to and learning from and be in the energy of.
Absolutely. And that's so important because programming is everything. Like, even this brings us back to our talk on money and wealth creation is we were programmed. Like, each one of us received a different program. I mean, as you know, right? And I'm really
Yeah.
saying this to listeners is each one of us received money program because of the city we grew up in, the family we grew up in, the culture, how much money our family had, whatever our ancestors went through. And so much of our spiritual awakening path and really pioneering a new way is deprogramming and
Yes.
really taking and deleting the files and the beliefs around money that are not serving, that are not even ours. And I'm curious, bringing it back to your book, what have you shared about in terms of that? And I know in the bonus, we're going to go through like a 5-minute way to release limiting beliefs. And so I
Yeah.
guess I'm giving the bonus away. What did you speak on to? And like, what did you choose to include in your book around this deprogramming of our family and what
Yeah.
we see really not by choice from our spirit, yes, because we chose to incarnate with that family, but in terms of culture or family influence.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always fascinated by human behavior and what I've come to learn, and this was like such a divine co-creation, is that there are 6 core money wounds. And 74% of people will have 3 or 4 of the 6. So, you'll resonate with more than one, but using this sort of medical terminology, it's very helpful to have a diagnosis. If you're walking around with mystery symptoms and you don't understand where they're coming from or how they connect, what are the chances that you fully and completely heal them? You're just throwing spaghetti at the wall at that point. And Mahatma Gandhi has a quote that says, um, a proper diagnosis is 3/4 the remedy. And I really believe that. Like, there's power in naming something and recognizing that it's not a core part of you. It's not like your heart as an organ that needs to be inside of you beating and circulating blood. It's like a money wound, by definition, I'll pull up the book so I get it right, is a stored feeling or trauma residing in brain and body that negatively affect your thoughts, emotions, actions, and the way your body feels around money. So we have money wounds, but we are not our money wounds. And when we can diagnose them, then all of a sudden we open up this deeper understanding. And this is the process that I take readers through in the book. The acronym is RUMBA, and it stands for root cause, unique medicine, mind healing, body healing, and alchemizing the wound to wealth. And that's the process that we go through, because when you understand which money wound is strongest for you, now all of a sudden you know the root cause, what's really going on, which is always a projection of something onto money, because money is a neutral tool, as we know. And so just like, we're not vilifying the oxygen that we breathe, but we do often vilify money and we weaponize it against ourselves. And so understanding what the root cause of that is. And then I share the unique medicine that heals that. And we go through mind healing processes and body healing. I think that's another real missing thing in this bucket that we call money mindset, which makes it sound like it's all in the neck up. But of course, we know there's really good science that it also is in our bodies. And so once we do all that healing, nature doesn't like a vacuum. We don't want to take something away and not put something else in. And that's the wounds to wealth alchemy process. So once we remove that wound, then in that energetic space, we go through a special alchemy activation where we put into that space all of the coding for the unique channel of wealth that's actually the shadow side of that. Well, I guess the wound is the shadow side of that channel of wealth. So there's actually this real new potential that's available for money to flow to you in this way that it never was able to before.
Beautiful. And so which were the 6 wounds that you included in your book?
Yeah, so there's the money shame wound. I'm not worthy of wealth. The evil money wound. Being rich is bad. The hard money wound. It's hard work to make money. The money trust wound. I don't trust myself with money. The safe money wound. I won't feel safe until I have a big financial cushion. And the disappearing money wound, which is I don't trust money. Money is always leaving me.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love how you really broke it down like a science in a way, like a methodology, so that it doesn't feel so elusive. I think sometimes people who are needing the money healing kind of avoid, they kind of avoid, like, I don't want to look at the money. I don't want to look at the things. And I mean, we see the same in medicine as well, especially like when certain patients would come and things are so far along and they've had symptoms for so long. And it wasn't until the pain pushed them.
Yeah.
And so it's episodes like this of where not even like we don't even need to have the money pain. Like we actually don't even need to be in debt. But to get to that next level, we can still work this process.
Yes.
And if there is that, the avoidance is starting to come in. Like, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, but I know something's wrong. And, it's great that you make it tangible. And I feel like that approachability to healing and money is so beautiful. And I also feel that that's partly where I feel inspired to empower people is in that wild manifestation of as much wealth as possible, more than we can spend, because it is possible for all of us.
Yeah.
Like looking at the billions and the trillions and all these amounts in the market, I'm like, there's so much money out there. Like
Yeah.
we can all have a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
And
And
so
Mother
maybe,
Nature is abundant. She's actually naturally wasteful because there's so much abundance. Like there really are, the evidence is all around us. You know, I'm here in Southern California, and it's like, if you've ever seen an avocado tree, you know, we all like really value avocados, right? Because it always costs extra to get the avocado on the sandwich or to get the guac with your tacos, and it's like this really valuable food. The one avocado tree will have like 80 avocado on it, way more than one family could ever eat. You would be so sick of avocado. Like, you've got to just give them away. We had a neighbor come with, just giant grocery bags full. Would you like some avocado? And it's like, yes, we'll take some of these and we'll pass them on. Mother Nature is wasteful, but it's not really waste. It's just a lesson in abundance, and that there's more than enough to go around. And the avocados that don't even get eaten, guess what? They just drop to the ground and they become the soil that produces the next thing. And it's all good.
yeah, absolutely. And I have my Abundance Code series where I share a lot about Mother Nature as that metaphor and also the mirror that we can reference of like, we are earth creatures. So by
Yes.
default, abundance is our birthright. And
Yes.
just like you were saying, I thought you were going to tell me like, because here in Ibiza, when you see like a lemon tree or an orange tree or a pomegranate tree, you also see so many rotting on the floor.
Totally. Absolutely.
And then people aren't picking them in time. And so, yeah, it's just that reminder, like there's so much, like
There's so much.
how many drops of water in the sea, how many leaves on a tree, the infinite expanse of the sky, and may everyone leave this episode feeling wealth and money activated, and that abundance is your birthright, and abundance in all forms, including financial. And so, is there anything else, Emily, that you want to share before we head into the bonus, as well as where people can find you?
Yeah. So you can find me at emilywilcox.com. You can find me on social media at mmakesmoney. If you're curious about which money wound is strongest for you, I have a free quiz. Just go to moneywoundsquiz.com. It's quick, it's easy, and it's very potent. People are always like, how did you get inside my head? I literally answered 6 questions and you knew exactly what was going on for me. So it's a really beautiful tool. It's a great place to start. And I think you and I were in a mastermind when all of that was really just being birthed. So it's wild that, 10,000 people have looked at that quiz since it was birthed, and now there's a book, and now there's, hundreds of people who are choosing to take these steps to heal their money wounds. And I think that's just a really good reminder for all of us that it all starts as an idea. And when we're brave enough to say yes to the idea and to be a channel for it and be devoted to it, it's really incredible what we can create.
Absolutely. And show us your book as well. So we'll include the link for people to get that as well. Beautiful.
Yes.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
Amazing, Emily. Thank you so much for being here. It was such a pleasure. I enjoyed our conversation so much. And I'm looking forward to experiencing your bonus as well. And so thank you everyone for tuning in today. And we will see you next time and inside the bonus. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Dr. Nikki Starr Show. Please like this podcast and share it with anyone you feel would benefit. Subscribe to the podcast to receive bonus content, and remember, every Monday the video version goes live on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being on the Ascension Path with me and for doing this great work.